Hey, welcome to another episode of Resistance Reads. I'm Michael Kilman,
I'm Matt Wellstrom,
and
Spongeball Guys.
and today we are covering Their Eyes We're Watching God
As we're
by
watching God.
Zora Neale Hurston.
Yeah.
Also, another reminder for those of you who haven't seen, we did launch a Patreon page, and Resistance
Yes.
Reeled is live.
Absolutely. If you guys like the really good Star Wars shit, come on over. We just did the first season of Andor the other day, and in like 2 weeks, I think or 3 weeks, we're doing
Yeah,
season two, or at least like focusing on a specific arc in season two, but we'll probably discuss the whole thing broadly speaking.
yeah. Matt hasn't seen season 2 yet. We're
I,
gonna do the
I can't elaborate on it.
yeah. We're gonna do the Gorman genocide and all the things that led up to that, and kind of the final thing, and obviously comparing that to modern events of things that are
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
Um, so check out our Patreon page,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just patreon.com/resistance reads.
Yeah.
And we also have a nonfiction book club. As soon as we have some people who are ready to sign up,
Hop on board with us.
so hop on board, and yeah, so check that out. But today's book, Their Eyes Were Watching God.
So good.
So very interesting.
Oh my God.
Um,
It's one of my favorites from high school. I remembered like 25% of it. And I had strong feelings about the other 75%, which I think we'll get into. But first, we should probably talk about the author.
mhm.
Zora Neale Hurston's like a really cool figure in, I think, both the Harlem Renaissance and also in the history of anthropology.
Yeah.
My wife was reading this really great book a couple years ago about, it was like a biography of the field of anthropology, and it started off in the like bad old days where it was basically like head measuring and racism, and then transitioned into like a biography of Franz Boas, who is considered to be the godfather, the grandfather of anthropology.
He's like the father of American anthropology.
There you go.
specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now he was a German Jew who had to flee Germany because of really terrible anti-Semitism,
Yes.
and he was a physicist and had to basically started doing his work with among the Inuit, the Baffin Island Inuit, and like while he was doing his testing, he just fell in love with their culture. And anthropology was like a brand new field, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I'll give it a shot,"
Why not?
and becomes one of the most influential figures in anthropology, not least because of like his students are also
Yes.
incredibly. I don't know if this is the same book you're talking about, but The Gods of the Upper Air.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's the book I'm thinking of.
So it's a book on how anthropologists kind of took down racist science.
book.
And
Yeah.
Zora Neale Hurston was a part of that.
Absolutely, she was one of his acolytes, one of his students, along with like Ruth Benedict and
Margaret Mead.
Yeah. And they
Ursula-
had a little thing going on, from what I understand.
Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they got some letters, some saucy letters that were published in a big volume a couple years back, and Kira said it was a little smutty, But yeah, she was born in Alabama and moved with her family to Eatonville, Florida, described in the book here. In 1894, she attended Barnard College and Columbia University, and her focus in anthropology was in African American and Caribbean folklore, which does come up in this book as well. She wrote about contemporary issues in the Black community and became a central figure in the Harlem Renaissance. Interestingly, this book was not well received by her peers when it came out, and it was a little bit panned. And according to an essay I was reading in the back of this book, it was in like 1975. She had sort of a critical reassessment and renaissance, and it just became like reevaluated. People really understood, I think, what she was like describing from a feminist perspective.
Yeah.
And then it started to be it started to work its way into the curriculum in high schools in the 90s. And that's really when I was exposed to it. And I think that's why, you can find like 5 different like editions of it in any used bookshop.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's where I found mine. Actually,
yeah.
I was in Oregon, so of course, as an author, I must make the great trip to my Mecca, as it were, of
Absolutely,
Powell's cities of books, and they had like many copies of every different version.
Absolutely. I found like when I was there a couple years ago, I was on an Amor Tolls kick, who we read.
Gentleman Mascow, one of our previous episodes.
Exactly. So I just read that one, and I was like, "What else has he got out there?" He only has like 4 published novels, but they had 3 or 4 copies of each of those, and
Powell's is great.
So I made out like a bandit.
And Powell's has they have a whole several aisles for anthropology and social science, which like no other bookstore I've ever been into does. So
but so she was sort of a phenomenon of the Harlem Renaissance, like the Black literature in the early 20th century, and also anthropology, and her work in both fields has stood the test of time.
Yeah. So she's super influential for sure. And she was apparently, I read that she wrote this book in 7 weeks.
7 weeks
while conducting her fieldwork in Haiti.
Yeah, I think she was also going through a little bit of a heartbreak at the time.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
It does, doesn't it? But she was apparently focused on her field work, and she said that she had been wanting to write this book. She'd been resisting the urge to do it. So then once she actually had time to sit down and write it, it just came out like a hurricane, like the hurricane that's described
in the book.
Yeah.
That hurricane scene, I think that was one of my favorite parts of the book. It was so compelling.
The whole last third of the book is so good.
So good.
It's so
once she gets away from her deadbeat husband.
Well, and then like once they move to the muck, I love that part so much.
Yeah. And it's also written a lot in the dialect of the time too.
Yeah.
So
BEV, I guess, is what we would. It's like Black English vernacular.
AAVE. Yeah.
AAVE. We called it
African American Vernacular English.
Yeah, we had a different term for it back when I was in school.
Well, the nomenclature for a lot of things has changed in the last couple decades.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. If you're watching the movie Airplane, they have another word for it.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so kind of a summary of the book begins with this kind of woman that everyone's talking about. There's a lot of gossip in this book, which I actually really kind of love because it just really gives you a flavor for what the community is doing. I mean, there's a very strong kind of ethnographic element to this book where she's constantly giving you all these side characters, and you don't know very much about any of these side characters, but what they do is they add to the flavor of the local gossip and conversation.
And you can tell a lot about the people by the way they react to what other people are saying. Like her friend Phoebe really stands up for her. The fact that she was an anthropologist and that this book is largely set in her hometown a generation before she was like, living and observing and stuff like that is fascinating. I feel like she must have conducted some amateur ethnography, just like, I don't know, from her grandmother or something like that.
Listening to the stories.
Listening to the people growing up with it.
Yeah. So it begins with like gossiping about this woman, Janie, who's in her 40s and had been with a younger man.
Ooh.
Scandalous. Yeah. But her friend Phoebe invites her to tell her where she's been because her friend Phoebe hasn't seen her in a little while because she's been kind of off on some adventures for a couple of years. And we end up finding out where she's been because most of the book is a flashback of like her life.
Yeah, or like her recounting her adventures to her friend. Yeah.
Right. So it begins with she's a little girl and she was raised around a lot of white children and didn't even kind of realize that she was Black until she saw herself in a photograph,
which is like a wild experience.
It'd be very interesting, right? And as she grows into a teenager, she shares her first kiss with a boy named JT through a gate. And then she the descriptions of like of her immediate feeling of passion are some of the it's the most beautiful like love poetry.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Hair blossoms.
Yeah,
Man.
I
Just
mean,
like, ooh, wow.
it's beautiful stuff. The
Mhm.
prose in here, it's all hard to even call it prose because so much of it is so poetic.
It verges. I would say like, and there are huge passages that walk the line between prose and poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, very evocative.
It's really thick with imagery for sure.
Absolutely.
You definitely feel like you're in the scene. Um, but right away her grandma kind of sees what's going on and tells her she's not going to be around with like she's not going with this loser, like I'm going to set you up with someone good. So she sets up an arranged marriage. And she's like fighting her grandmother and asks her grandmother why, and her grandmother, who like was literally experienced the freeing her freedom through the end of the Civil War. Like Sherman's forces come in and liberate the town.
Yeah.
And so she's like a teenager when this is happening, and she just had a baby.
Well, it's interesting too because in that passage she's describing the Union Army coming in and liberating ostensibly the people that have been enslaved, but what she has to do is liberate herself as well because her slave master, who is also her rapist, her lover, it's not clear, but you can assume that it's both.
Well, it's always rape if you're a slave.
It's because thank you very much. Absolutely, that's exactly right. Like goes off to fight the Union Army, and his wife and then she has a baby, and then his wife as soon as he's gone is like, show me that baby, show me what it looks like. Obviously checking to make sure it's mixed race, and she kind of resists in that moment to the point where the woman just kind of is tired of this confrontation, leaves, and then she pieces right the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of I think that's the theme of this book.
Yeah.
Is forces will help you liberate yourself as long as you're willing to do that liberation too.
Yeah, you have to be willing. You have to take the opening.
Exactly.
You get the opening, but you have to take it.
You got to take it.
Right.
Yeah.
That is definitely a theme here. But her grandmother is essentially saying she's arranging this marriage because she wants Janie to be safe because the mother she couldn't keep her mother safe because apparently Janie was born from rape
as well.
Yeah. So one night her mother, when she was 17, went out, and when she didn't come back until dawn, and it she was very clearly raped, and her grandmother
by her school teacher.
Yeah. So she, so she's like, I never want that to happen to you again. So I'm going to give you a man who's a protector.
And this is what she says in that moment. Honey, the white man is the ruler of everything as far as I've been able to find out. Maybe it's someplace off in the ocean where the black man is in power, but we don't know nothing but what we see. So the white man throw down the load, and the black man, he pick it up. He pick it up because he have to, but he don't tote it. He hand it to his woman folks. The black woman is the mule of the world as far as I can see. I've been praying for it to be different with you. Lord, Lord, Lord.
Yeah, I actually wrote that exact quote down too because I thought it was such a good portrayal.
It really that's what she's afraid of. But the interesting thing about that is she marries Janie off to a guy who wants to use her as a fucking pack mule.
Yep.
A
pack mule and an incubator, essentially.
An incubator, exactly.
Yeah. So Logan Killicks is the person she marries, somewhere around 15 or 16, pretty young.
I think it's 16. I think it's a year before, because her grandma got pregnant at 17 and her mom got pregnant at 17. And I think when she sees Janie kissing that boy over the fence or over the gate, she's like, fuck, the clock's ticking. I gotta pull the trigger so that she's protected from rape before it can be enforced upon her.
Yeah.
Also, Janie is very pretty. When I was reading this book in high school, God, this is going to date me. Because she's light-skinned and has amazing hair, I always pictured her as Lisa Bonet.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think on a reread, I think that holds up because hair comes up a lot in this book. Janie's hair is it's a battlefield, if you will, and men are like
all over her all the time,
irrevocably drawn to her.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. She's definitely. It's like the there are definitely times in history when you did not want to be a beautiful woman.
Absolutely, this was one of them.
This is one of them. So gets too much attention in a
Mhm.
bad way. So she's forced to kind of marry. She goes along with it. She listens to her grandmother. She says, "Okay, I'm going to try to love him." And she really tries. And Logan Killicks isn't horrible to her. He's not like a abusive or a drunk or anything like that. But he expects her to like work her ass off
Yeah.
all the time.
And also the expectations are creeping too. Like
Yeah.
it starts off where he's like pretty chill.
Yeah.
And he like goes out and works and she just kind of takes care of the house. And that's fine. There's not much to take care of. It's a small house and it's just the two of them. So it's like the distribution of labor is not it's like in her favor initially.
Yeah.
But
there's a line about kissing the feet.
Uh-huh.
So when he's like, you always get kisses of the mouth, but right now he's kissing your feet.
Exactly. Yeah. And then eventually he's just like he does threaten her with violence when he's like, come out here and help me shovel this shit. Mm-hmm. And she's like, that's your job. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, get your ass out here.
Yeah.
Escalates from there.
But she, goes back to her grandmother a couple months later. Is like, I don't love him. I don't like him. And her grandmother is basically like, love is not that important. What's important is safety and security. And her grandmother dies not like a couple weeks after giving her this advice.
Yeah, after telling her to suck it up.
So not long after that, I think it's like a year or something passes. She's with this guy.
Yeah, I think she's with him for like maybe a little more than a year.
And then this guy named Joe Stark shows up, and is very much like, come with me, baby. Like,
hey, how
I'll show
you doing?
you good things.
Exactly. And he's like Natalie dressed and.
Well, and what's crazy is like he says to her, "You ain't nothing but you're barely off of weaning."
Yeah, exactly. like you were young.
You're young.
And
it's like, and so then he hits on her, right? It's like,
and it's like the whole time you're just like, girl, no,
run away,
don't do it.
But so she does, because she does not like Logan Killicks. Mm-hmm. She runs off with Joe Stark. They get married. And they arrive in this all black town that mm-hmm. Joe's heard of.
The first one in the country.
The first one in the country. And he shows up and there's like nothing there and they only have 50 acres. And he's like, what, this isn't a town? And we never find out where he gets his money. But he basically goes over to like wherever the property is distributed. They don't really say.
No, he goes to like a guy who owns a neighboring parcel and offers him cash on the barrelhead for 200 acres of land in Florida.
There. Yeah, right there. So then he talks about building, it's going to be like a shop / post office, and it'll be like the first black controlled post office mm-hmm. in the country, mm-hmm. and so then people start moving in and everyone's really excited, and he really does. He builds this whole town.
He does good.
And very quickly they make him mayor.
Yeah. Within like 3 days.
Yeah. So
and then he's mayor for the rest of his life.
Right, pretty much. It sounds like there's not.
And never he's Mrs. Mayor Starks.
That's right. So she's not horribly abused, but he's extremely condescending. He doesn't really let her speak. Mm-hmm. She's not really allowed to participate in any of the community activities because that's too belittling of the mayor's wife.
Yes.
So she doesn't really. She's basically a showpiece.
Yeah. And also, she's the one who does all the work in the store.
Right.
So like, I mean, he does some work too, but she's like always in the store.
Right. And so there's this like, and Joe is not like necessarily a bad person. He's definitely a sexist pig, but like he does things like buys a mule and frees it and that kind of stuff.
Dude, the mule story is really funny.
It is really funny. But he does that. He certainly does that because a lot of people are like talking in the town. There's definitely a lot of gossip around who he is and his wife. So I think he does it as kind of like a PR stunt. He buys this mule.
He's very savvy.
He's very savvy. But then, like, I think the thing that really catches me is, like, so they end up, the mule becomes, like, the town mascot, and everybody loves the mule.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what's the raccoon right now?
Oh, God, the weird little cryptid raccoon in Seattle.
Yeah, yeah.
Jimothy the raccoon.
Thanks,
Yes.
Kira. Yeah, Jimothy. So it's kind of like Jimothy, where it's like this beloved mule.
Yeah, because before the mule was freed, there were all these jokes about this guy like not feeding his mule enough, and like, oh, you better go feed your mule because I saw the women washing their clothes on his ribs, using it as a washboard,
Right.
and all that kind of things is like, how hungry your mule is, how hungry, like jokes like that,
Right.
and then yeah, so Jody like buys the mule for way more than it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what are you going to do with the mule? And he's like, the mule's retired now. The mule's free. The mule can do what it wants.
Right.
And so the mule just like gets into even more shenanigans now that it's not being worked hard and it's like getting fed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just wanders around the town and there's stories about it like, like poking its head in a window at dinner time, and this lady like offers it a plate because she thinks it's her husband, the preacher.
Yeah.
Shit like that. And it lives for a couple more years, and then it like dies. And then they give it this epic funeral.
Right.
Which is so cool.
But Janie was not allowed to attend the funeral.
Allowed to go to the fucking
Because
funeral.
it's unbecoming of the mayor's wife. Which was like, there's this great event, and she's just locked out of everything, and she's not allowed to speak up against him ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he does hit her if she speaks up
exactly
against her. So he definitely has a,
It was just why when you said he wasn't a bad guy, I was like, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, he could be a hell of a lot worse. I kind
Very
of,
true.
I'll be honest, I kind of expected her experiences to be hellaciously worse in this book, and I was
interesting.
I was surprised, I guess, because I'm so used to reading Stephen King and other people where everyone beats the shit out of their wife and everyone's drunk and
very fair. And he's not drunk and he's not abusive.
No,
in that way.
No,
it's just like
he's pretty typical for a man of that era in terms of.
I think the thing that's interesting about Jody the Mayor is that he is like. I think it's demonstrating a very like how sad it can be to be in an unloving relationship with someone who was just kind of a prick to you.
Yeah.
It's like things can be like you could be in a terrible situation like Patrick Stewart's mom where like his dad got drunk every day and they're just like, oh God, is he gonna beat us today? When he comes home. And that's like a kind of a worst case scenario. It's not super common. I'm not saying it's uncommon or anything like that. It's just not like most people when they're in an unsatisfying relationship. It's like this, know. They feel kind of captive, but they also have it better than a lot of people they know.
Right.
Because like later on in the story, when she leaves town, she's talking to her friend Phoebe, and her friend Phoebe's like, I didn't realize it was that bad for you. And she's like, yeah, my grandma wanted me to like get to this place where I could like, she never got to sit down because she was a slave, She wanted me to get up on that stool so I could sit and have a nice job just sitting all day and helping people.
Right.
But by the third year on that stool, I just didn't want anything like that anymore, So I think, sorry, the dog's running around and distracted me. But I think that's the end of my point.
No, it was a good point, right? It is. It's like the slow, methodical
stripping away of all of her freedoms, but like in a gilded cage kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because she is the mayor's wife.
Yeah,
she has access to everything she could want or need.
She has nice clothes.
She has nice clothes, but she can't go anywhere or do anything.
And sort of like towards the end of their relationship too, he is meaner to her. Like in front of his friends and stuff like that, where he's sitting out on the porch, of the store. Because it's like one of those country stores that's got like a porch with rocking chairs on it where people can like hang out and shit like that. She never gets to go out and joke around with people. And whenever she does like enter their line of sight, they start like, the mayor starts to like to tease her and pick on her and shit like that.
Yeah.
And
specifically her looks, because as he's at least 10 years older than her. Mm-hmm. I think he's like 10 to 15 years older.
Yeah. That seems right.
And because he's in his 50s.
But like when they got married, he was still handsome and kind of young.
Right.
But like also had money, so I'm assuming he's like 30.
Yeah.
And she's like 18.
Yeah, yeah. So I think he's, you know, so he's like, as he's becoming more insecure about his own looks, he's teasing her, which is something that a lot of men do. It's like why you see on like social media, all these men are like, well, women aren't any good after age 25. Well, they're saying that because they're so freaking insecure about their looks.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, are you fucking kidding me? The hottest woman in the world is probably like 40 years old, man.
I think women in their 40s are.
Anyway, that's not the point. Yeah. No, exactly right. Exactly right.
They do have a big fight at one point when she cuts the tobacco wrong. And in front of everyone, she kind of like takes him down a peg, and it's just finally just can't.
It's fucking. It's
epic.
Roasts
him. Roasts him.
Oh my god! I wish I'd written it down. She says when you get undressed, it's like you can see the march of time or something like that. It's just like in one sentence, she just burns his ass to cinders.
And one of the guys is like, "Didn't tell me your wife was a poet."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, read him for filth, man. Oh god.
Yeah, slam poetry right there.
Seriously. Doing the dozens. That's what he says. Like, oh man, you didn't tell me she could do the dozens?
Yeah.
Shit.
But he beats her pretty bad after that. And then after that it's like she's like biding her time at that point.
Yeah.
But like, you know, but before she can actually leave, he dies of kidney failure.
Yeah. Really fast, and he's mean about it.
He's super mean. He's super mean.
Like, she wants to make amends with him, and he's just like, you know, get out of my fucking room.
Yeah, and she says, you know, we could have really loved each other, but you couldn't do anything but listen to your own damn voice.
Yep.
So, that's what he says. She says, and as she's mourning him, she begins reflecting on her life and realizes how angry she is towards her grandmother and feels like her grandmother had stolen her horizon from her. Which, you know, I mean, she sold her into marriage.
She sure fucking did.
You know? I mean, her grandmother had her reasons, but...
Yeah,
you know,
no, I mean, there's a reason I think we both wrote down that speech that where she was explaining her motivations, but she literally said that after she hit her for kissing that boy.
Yeah.
And then she was about to hit her again and saw the tears in her eyes. Is like, oh, I would never hurt you. It's like, ma'am.
You just did twice over.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But she had this one perfect moment of like youthful like love and romance, and you like stole that away from her, and within a week she's married to an old fucking farmer. You know, like what the fuck?
Yeah. And he was like way older than her, like 40s.
Yeah, he was 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was 17.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And then you know, so she discovers she's happier alone, but all these guys are after her because not only is she the hot widow of town, but she's got money now too. She has the store.
She's got like $1,500 in like 1920.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm gonna do some quick math.
Yeah, you do that.
Right back.
So one day a man by the name of Vegetable Woods, which we later know as Tea Cake.
Tea Cake's a much better name.
He's a much better name. He happens into the store when everybody's kind of at a big game. Everyone's out of town. She's by herself minding the store. He had kind of made a mistake about the location and time and stopped into the store to grab a few things. Immediately they get to talking. It's very clear quickly she's attracted to him. And
I picture him like Blair Underwood.
Okay.
Just, you guys can Google that and you'll know what I mean.
But you know, but one of the first things he does is ask her if she'd like to play checkers, and she's like, no one's ever asked me to play checkers, and my husband forbid me from playing checkers for 20 years of marriage. And he's like, well, you're gonna play now. So he teaches her to play, and then of course, like, you end up with this sequence that feels very much like love in your early 20s, where you're like, oh my god, do they like me? Or I guess really from like teens to 20s, right?
Oh my god,
do they like me? Oh, woe is me.
They have an amazing date, and then she doesn't hear from him for 2 days, and is freaking the fuck out about it. It's so funny. And imagine this like 39-year-old woman like losing her shit. Yeah, losing her shit because this grown-ass man who we have to presume has a job, but she's like not familiar with someone who actually has to work really hard. She's the one.
And he's 12 years younger.
That. And he's younger
he's
than
12
her.
years younger. Yeah.
So he's...
But
he comes back. He's like, let's go on a date. I got money from working. And she's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
It's so funny, man.
In fairness to her, she's never really had a chance to date, right?
Oh, no, definitely. No, I mean, you're exactly right. She's like basically going back to being 18 and like, is just on like fucking pins and needles about this guy.
I mean, when you really like someone, you've got that anxiety, right?
Needless to say, they sleep together on the
same day. They sleep together. He courts her with music. They fall in love. After several months, they decide to leave together. So she decides she'd like to sell the shop. Of course, her friend Phoebe and everybody else is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
There's this other woman who's in her 50s who went after the younger men and got screwed over. Don't you do that? And she's like, no, I'm doing it. I trust him.
Yeah, I'm in love with him. I trust him.
And I was pretty uncertain reading about it. So I was like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I couldn't. So this is, hold on. This is the part where I couldn't remember what happened. And I thought she was going to meet another guy down there in like, because they leave Eatonville and they go to, wait, where do they go?
Well, they go to like this town near the Everglades.
Yes,
because then later they go to the Everglades.
Right. Yeah, and so I thought she met another. I thought she was gonna get fucking screwed over by TK.
Yeah,
and then meet another guy. But no. This part when they get down there and they get this little house and she's like, so happy and like he's like, I'm gonna go buy some fish, and then he doesn't come back for a full day.
It was a couple days. It was a couple of days because she's like freaking out and she doesn't know what to do because on top of him disappearing for a couple of days, I think it's one full day. But he comes back the next morning and tells her the story of this party he threw. Because he found $200 in her purse. And so he took it so he could pretend to be a millionaire for a day, and he goes and he buys himself a fucking guitar, and he like throws this fucking party like out of fucking Sinners or some shit. Basically like sets up this whole situation where all the like laborers and their girlfriends and shit like that can but not the ugly girls.
Not the ugly girls. He pays them to go away.
He pays them to go away.
At the door. He gives them each $2 to go away. And one lady $5. Which is so funny. But then she's like hearing this story, and I'm just, my heart is breaking for her because her whole experience of being married is not getting to have any fun, not being invited to have fun. She literally asks him, though, I was so proud of her when she asked him, like, why didn't you tell me that you were throwing a party? I would obviously want to go to a party that you threw. She doesn't even mention her money, but like you threw with my money, is what I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
But it turns out he's a gambler, and so he's got $12 of $200 left.
Yes.
I guess that would be the equivalent of like 10 grand or something.
Oh, I was gonna say yes. So the money that she has, not even from selling the store, is 25 grand.
Okay.
If you add on to that, wait, no, that's all the money she has after she sells the store. No, okay. So, but she's got $25,000, like lump sum money. Yeah.
Enough for a good start.
Absolutely.
So he claims he's a fantastic gambler. So when he says this, my heart was oh God, what have you done? But he, like, to his credit, comes back the next day with 2 knife slashes on his body and $346 in his pocket.
Exactly. He did the thing he said he was going to do. And he apparently, the only reason he walked out of there is because he, on the way to do his gambling, buys a switchblade.
Yeah.
And some Brill cream.
Yeah.
So he makes his hair look really good, and he's got a knife in his pocket. Yeah. And he's like telling her the story, and he's like, and the guy only had a razor. And that's old school. A razor still, it's nothing compared to a switchblade. You get stabbed while you're still getting it all set up.
Yeah. Well, and like also like I don't know, maybe for younger viewers there, when you talk about a razor, we're talking about an extremely sharp knife, not a little bic.
a folding straight razor.
Right,
is
right,
what
a
he's
folding straight razor, yeah.
Is what he's describing.
Um,
So like basically what we would think of as like the equivalent of a safety razor today, like the kind of thing that you would shave your face with. It would obviously fold up so it would stay sharp, but you could also just use that as a weapon back in the day.
Yeah, for sure.
And gangs in Glasgow definitely did that for many a year.
So after that, he's like, let's go to the Everglades. And he picks beans during the day and gambles at night. But everybody loves him.
Yeah.
He's like playing music and he's so charismatic, and it's kind of a repeat in some ways with her ex-husband.
Oh, it's a very similar. You can tell that she attracts really charismatic dudes.
Well, she's
actually
very good looking,
she
right?
attracts every kind of dude, because like when she's recently widowed, all the men in town are hanging around. They're like, "You've been mourning for like 2 months. Doesn't that seem like enough?" And then when TK comes around and she's spending a bunch of time with him, all those same dudes are like, "It's only been 9 months since your husband's been dead. Like, what are you doing going out with this guy? Shouldn't you be mourning some more?"
Of course.
Yeah, but no, she's gonna fall for the charismatic dude. Is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. So I mean, they have so much fun, and she's so happy. He even like teaches her how to shoot rifles. She becomes a better shot than him. They hunt alligators.
They hunt all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
The scene where they describe hunting the alligators and their eyes that glow at night, though, that was just like, oh my god,
yeah,
you guys
really
are fucking wild. You'll do anything.
So, after some more time passes, they meet a woman whose husband set up shop in the Everglades named Mrs. Turner, who believes that they should, quote, whiten the whole race.
Oh my god, Mrs. Turner.
She's awful.
I couldn't stand her.
Neither can she.
No, I know. And she, like, unfortunately, since she's light-skinned, she has to hang out with this lady all the time. Because she, like, won't go away.
Yeah.
She's, like, the neighbor in any, like, 50s sitcom who's always, like, poking her nose in and stuff.
Nosy
like,
neighbor,
yeah. Exactly.
And she keeps trying to set him up, Janie up with her brother, who's a real loser.
He doesn't have a job right now, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, he's a great carpenter when he can find work.
This is the thing where, but then, like, when the brother shows up, TK beats her.
Yeah.
And that
to demonstrate his ownership of her.
But says he does it to show that he was in control and no lowlife can take his woman.
Yeah.
Which was...
I hated that part.
Yeah, I really hated that part too. But then, a hurricane comes. They're warned to leave by the Indian tribes who are leaving the coast. They're like, get your butts out of here.
Yeah.
And they're, but everyone, the whole town is like, oh, they don't know anything. They're stupid.
The Seminoles, they've just lived here for like thousands of years, whatever.
How could they possibly know?
Yeah.
There's no sign of a hurricane.
Right.
But it hits, and it hits hard. And like, they talk about the lake nearby is basically being dumped into their town, and everyone's flooding and drowning.
Like, it's following them like the ice, or like the freezing temperatures were following Dennis Quaid in that movie
Day After Tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. chasing them all around Florida, man.
Yeah. So they're forced to flee in the middle of the storm because the flood.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to get to higher ground, and in the process of that, a dog attacks them, and TK like throws himself in front of her and kills it with his knife, but not before getting bitten.
Yeah.
And so they finally they get out, and he's trying to recover and go back to work and all this stuff, and they're kind of he's like forced. Some white guys round him up and try to force him and a whole bunch of other people to bury the bodies.
Yeah.
And it turns out only white people get caskets, and him and Janie have to escape that. They do, but then once they're finally like at a place where rest, he starts getting really sick. So they call a doctor, and
because he won't drink water.
And it turns out he does in fact have rabies, and he starts sleeping with a gun under his pillow, and she's like really worried about that.
Yeah, the doctor's like, do not share a bed with him.
Don't share a bed with him
for the near future.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know that there's anything we can do.
He does send to Miami for medicine,
but it
doesn't get there in time.
And then finally one day he attacks her and pulls a gun on her, which she had like unloaded some of the rounds.
So she was like making the bed while he was, I think, out going to like the restroom or something.
Yeah, the outhouse.
and because she she was making the bed and she feels it under there, and she's going to take all the rounds out, and then she's like, what is he gonna do if he like comes back and he notices the weight difference?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming she knows about that because he taught her to shoot and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's very well versed with guns
Yeah.
at this point.
So what she does is she like it's only half loaded, so she switches the barrel over to where there's gonna be 3 empty shots in a row. And then she like it's an interesting passage because you can tell she's a little bit disassociating. She goes and she like gets the rifle and puts it somewhere nearby where she can like just load one shot into it really quickly.
Right.
And then she's like, this is just like to make me feel better. Obviously, I'm not going to use it, but you can tell she's like, she's like doing something to protect herself at the same time she's like in denial.
Right.
Fascinating passage.
Yeah.
Then dude comes back and he's like,
he's lost his mind.
Lost his mind. He's really jealous. He's like, why did you leave earlier? You know, you've never left me for that long before. He's like, I was going to see if I could get you that medicine. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I heard that Mrs. Turner's brother was in town.
Yeah.
Were you slipping out?
Yeah, he's losing his mind to rabies. For
sure. Exactly. Mad jealous.
Yeah. And so he pulls a gun on her, and he pulls the trigger, and it clicks because she took out the one bullet.
And in those 2 more clicks, in the time that takes for him to do 2 more clicks.
She pulls the gun.
She loads the rifle.
And shoots him.
Shoots him right as he's going to shoot. She's faster than him. Mm-hmm. So once it hits, like once the barrel hits on a bullet, it shoots into the fucking casement above the door.
Yeah, yeah.
And she would have been dead if she hadn't defended her.
Right. And then she gets arrested, and she goes through this whole trial, and it's not looking good for her. And I was like, oh my God, she better not like go to jail. I would be so mad.
How would she have gone to jail? Man, she's telling the story.
Yeah, that's true.
To Phoebe.
I know, but the author was so good, it suspended my belief.
Absolutely. I get it.
So anyway, but she does ultimately. They find her innocent.
Oh, but this part is so great. Like, Tea-Cake's friends are so upset that they act like character witnesses against her in the court, but weirdly, all the white dudes on the jury are like,
because she's hot.
Because she's hot. You're right. I'd say weirdly, but no, not weirdly at all.
And the doctor vouches.
For her and says that dude had rabies and he did attack her, and there's also the physical evidence of the gun being fired.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In his hand. So the doctor finds Tea-Cake on the floor. Jane's cradling him in her arms and like clearly distraught, and dude has a gun in his hand.
You're right. So they do. She does let off, and then that's really kind of the end of the book. And
she goes back and tells the
whole story. And I wrote down like what she says at the end because I really liked it.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Where the hell did I put it?
I can find it.
Janie says at the end that people need 2 things. They need to turn toward God, their eyes towards God, and then to find their own way in the world.
Yeah.
And that was like her final lesson to Phoebe, which I thought was like, okay.
It's so great too because Phoebe's like, she's been listening to this. She was so excited that her friend had come back into town that she like left her husband's dinner like just warming in the oven so she could run over there, and Janie asks her like, don't you need to be with Sam right now? You know, and she's like, nah, Sam can like fend for herself, you know. And then after the story's done, she's like, man, I'm gonna go with Sam and I'm gonna have him teach me how to fish, you know, like I want to do activities with my husband too, and like, you know, really be his equal in the same way that you were equals with Tea-Cake. That's how I'm paraphrasing, but like, it's such a, I mean, like Tea-Cake's not perfect, but you know,
he's a hell of a lot better.
So much better.
Like 20 years. And
I got mad at him for like leaving for extended periods and not like telling Jody where he was gonna be before he left. But other than that, great. Yeah. Great dude. And I remember like just thinking that his shenanigans were so charming when I was 17 and reading this book in school. And now I'm like taking her side and I'm like, how dare you leave without telling her where you're going, sir? She's been through so much.
Yeah. Well, and I think it, you know, it's so sad to me because you just think like she was with this jackass for 20 years,
Yeah.
and then she's only with TK for like two or
Two?
three. It's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3.
Yeah. It's
It's
not that long.
yeah. So it's
But
like
it's so cute. And then there's this little bit where she's like, after her friend leaves, she's like looking around and she can like feel TK around her, you know,
yeah,
and like his
yeah.
spirit's still with her. And it's just,
Well, and she says I'll love him forever, and
yeah,
you know,
damn, man.
and it is one of those things where it's like, you know, the quality of the love is so much better than the quantity in that case, right? At 20 years in a lukewarm kind of relationship where the other person doesn't give a shit about you and doesn't connect with you,
and you do
versus
have that
2.
safety and security, but that doesn't really matter because you just feel like shit all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like no one gives a shit about you. That's a terrible, terrible place to be. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. I wrote like 9 pages of notes here,
Awesome.
which I think is the most I've written for any of our books.
It's also like one of the shortest ones we've read.
I know, that's what's so funny. I kept having different thoughts. Some of them are just like my random thoughts that are not really that interesting. But like one of them is like this idea that in many contexts throughout history, not just in hers, the pursuit of romantic love is largely a privilege.
Absolutely.
Most marriage throughout history is about politics and alliances. They're often arranged with families, or at least the families must give their blessing, or else they can't proceed because.
Political arrangements in a lot of situations.
Yeah, well, you have to, in a lot of cases, like, you're not even talking about, like, when we talk about political arrangements, you're probably thinking of something, like, viewers, you're probably thinking of something like, oh, yeah, of course, like, kings or barons or those, because they have to be arranged. But, like, in small-scale societies, you have to make alliances with other clans and groups, too.
Yeah.
So, often, marriage like, love was a second hand. Like, you didn't really get to do that stuff through a lot of history. And, you know, and also, it's really interesting because even if we look at today, there's a tendency that overall love marriages are less successful and happy than arranged marriages even today.
Absolutely.
So it's not as simple as like love conquers all. Like, there's so many cultural and community and familial elements to love and marriage that we often don't think of in, like, you know, when we have a country where they have endless dating shows and those terrible reality television
Love
like
Island,
Love Island,
like
or Married at First Sight, or all those other things. Which those are, funny enough, arranged marriages in a culture that doesn't do arranged marriages, so of course they don't go well.
Absolutely. But I'm a big fan of there's this series of books. There's like 5 or 6 of them. Written by oh god, what's his name? Hold on. I've got him over here. It doesn't matter. It's Vish Puri is the detective, and Tarkin Hall is the guy who wrote them. And he was like a journalist who spent a lot of time in India, ended up marrying an Indian lady, and was like kind of like adopted into the culture. And he wrote these books about India's most successful detective, and most of his job is doing research for families that want to marry their children to each other.
Yeah.
And the thing about arranged marriages in societies like that is that there's a lot of familial involvement in the marriage process. There's this huge system that's been developed over like thousands of years, essentially, to ensure the happiness and the safety and the security of their children.
Right.
Basically, what they're doing is they're looking out, like Nanny is, for their children's safety and security, but they're also really interested in making a match that is going to like be fruitful and successful.
Yeah.
So they're like they're checking all the boxes using their more experience, their greater experience in their children. The thing is, when we get married in our society in our early 20s or 30s or something like that, we don't have, you know, a lifetime of experience with people and their foibles and their little like nuances that can like guide us in helping our children like make good choices, you know? but they do over there. That's like the system that they've been running for so long, and the success rate of marriages in societies that have arranged marriage that's like conducted by their families is dramatically higher. I think our success rate in Western cultures right now,
50-ish%.
it's 50-ish%.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit better than our parents because our parents
They got married younger.
and they were shittier people. Because of the lead poisoning. It's not a judgment.
No.
It's science.
No, I mean
guys.
that's actually, you see, the lead poisoning is the most likely cause for all the rise of serial killers in the 1970s.
It was crazy.
Like they see this huge drop off of serial killers beginning in the 90s, and everybody's like, why? And the reason is probably lead.
We got lead out of the gasoline and out of the paint, you know?
And toys.
And the toys.
Yeah.
Lead was everywhere, you guys. It was fucking crazy. We have to worry about microplastics, but it's not making us like serial killers or like crazy philanderers or, you know, whatever. Yeah, our parents were doing some wild shit.
Yeah.
Key parties. You know what I'm saying? So, like...
Also, a really important thing to note about a lot of those arranged marriages is often a third gender person, like the Hydras, would act as those matchmakers and investigators. Like Hydras, which, you know, like it's a whole different gender system, but they had primarily three genders in a lot of what we consider now modern India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh.
Yeah.
In that region. I mean, there's lots of variation because there's many subcultures, many sub-languages, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But generally, like, the arranged marriage was because it was thought that the Hydras had insight into both what it was like to be a man and what it was like to be a woman.
It makes sense.
So it was extremely useful to have them as kind of intermediaries in these situations.
Absolutely. And also, I think it's interesting to point out that I think our success rate in marriage is a little bit higher than our parents' generation because we're also, due to like financial forces and stuff like that, getting married later in life. We're, I think on average getting married like 7 years later than the previous generation was.
Not me, but
no, you were dumb and got married super young and had a bunch of kids, and they're great. But like, you know,
I like the kids. Yeah,
the kids are good.
The kids are great.
But yeah, no, like, yeah, you did the whole thing where you got married really young, had a bunch of kids, and then got divorced.
Yeah.
And then got married again and got divorced.
Yep.
Driving those numbers up, man.
Yeah, gotta drive up the statistics. I'm just doing my part, guys. But I also think this is really interesting, like, thinking about, like, what's been going on in our own, because one thing that we see always in anthropology is that marriage, dating, all of that stuff, romantic entanglements are directly impacted by economics at the time, right? So, for example, you have a society like in the Himalayas where they do polyandry, which is one woman and many men, largely because historically they had very little arable land and it acted as a form of birth control because a woman can only be pregnant so long and she'd be married to, they had a fraternal polyandry, so that she'd be married to a family of brothers.
Right.
So, and all the brothers could choose whether or not they would join in marriage. Pretty much all of them did.
Yeah, because otherwise not that many women.
Otherwise you get no wife.
Yeah.
So, then that was like required to keep their economic system going. In societies that need to make their numbers explode quickly because they need a lot of labor, like in cattle cultures, which require tons of taking care of animals, you have polygyny, which is, you know, one man, many women. So there's a lot of times, or if you want to make your population explode because you're a religious zealot like Joseph Smith, you have lots of wives and get them pregnant really quickly so you can essentially like colonize Utah. Yeah. Yeah, right. Although he never made it to Utah, but
wait, really?
No, he died in jail. Yeah, he died in jail, and it was Brigham Young who brings the whole...
Oh, of course, that's why the university's named after
Brigham
him.
Young.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, so like there are definitely economic and practical reasons to have different kind of relationship systems. But it was just like, I was thinking about this book, and it's thinking about Janie's arranged marriage, and then I was thinking about all the trad wives on Instagram.
Oh, in the book Yesteryear?
Yeah, all these things, right?
Man.
So they're basically having this resurgence of that. You're at because the economics and the safety are very scarce. You're also seeing a rise in polyandry, which is again, multiple spousal, which looks a variety of different
I
ways.
have a coworker who's like, she's young and she's in a, polygamous relationship right now. Thankfully, it's a queer one, so like I think it's the distribution of like
Yeah.
any distribution is evenly shared, but I'm
Yeah.
just like, good to see it,
Well,
like good for you guys.
And I know of
We were just thinking the other day, if we had another, like if Kira and I had a wife, like a third spouse, the financial situation would be way more stable.
I know a group of people who they all live in a house together. They're 5. They're all in a relationship with each other.
Sure.
And like I was like, so how does that work? And they said, well, it's tough sometimes, but let me tell you, who can afford a mortgage in this economy and stuff? And they're all artists and creative and really interesting people, and they're able to kind of live the way they want to live by having this unique sort of arrangement.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of that. So like her grandmother is responding to, just got out of slavery, I was raped, my daughter was raped, I want to keep my granddaughter from getting raped, and so safety and security is kind of the priority. And like it's so important to put that into that wider context, that we don't have any, like there's archaeologists, of course, who will argue that, oh yes, monogamy is a thing forever. Not very good archaeologists, because
what archaeologists are doing that?
There's no evidence that, well, there's a lot of archaeologists who argue some interesting things.
Fair enough. They also tend to throw chairs at conferences, from what I understand. So
yeah, I've seen a fist fight between an archegologist and an indigenous archaeologist, because
who won?
It was the indigenous.
Yeah.
But this guy made this claim about like this basket weaving approach, and the indigenous archaeologist, like in the middle, is like, hey, can I see that? Like I've seen a basket like that before. And he's like, oh really? So like, very unusual that he interrupted the talk halfway through, but he looks at it, he's like, this is a child's practice basket. And this archaeology had like spent his whole career talking about this lost civilization, had never consulted an indigenous person about basket weaving techniques.
God,
so they are the ones that are problematic are definitely out there.
Yeah.
So
they're also just like not doing the research well.
They're just that's terrible research.
Yeah.
But there you'll see some claims that, you can find enough of them that they'll claim, oh yes, no, monogamy is an inherent thing of the human experience. But that's just not true, because it's not true even across the modern world.
I think if people are monogamous, it's kind of a fluke, to be honest.
Like, well, it's not necessarally a fluke.
I'm just referring to myself. I'm a tragically monogamous person.
Oh yeah.
And it's
is that why you and Kira need a girlfriend?
Yeah. No, I mean, she was saying like, if we could do that, that would be great. And I'll be like, yeah, it would be great if I could get down with that, but like, I'm a jealous motherfucker,
But yeah, so there's lots of different ways of approaching relationships, for sure, and that was certainly something I wanted to bring up. But I also, like, the whole gossip thing was really interesting to me, because I liked those parts, and I think also too, I was reminded on how gossip is a form of social surveillance.
Yes,
and it can be extremely toxic and destructive, but also gossip, I think, is kind of hardwired into us evolutionary to maintain some sort of social kind of fairness. Because if there's somebody you're in a small scale society, and there's somebody who is like hoarding wealth. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Sorry, we're having a weird technical glitch, but it has nothing to do with the show, thankfully. So.
I think your Adobe wants to update.
Yeah, Adobe wants to update. And, okay, hold on. Sorry, everybody.
Well, I mean, going back to gossip, I think you're right. I think that it's the sort of thing that's easy for men to dismiss as like a women's practice
but men gossip all
the time.
Men
gossip all the time. And she demonstrates that in this book,
and
I think a really interesting way. And as a reader of Agatha Christie, I am conditioned to view gossip as also a source of information, and a reliable source of information, because it is usually like, if you can get gossip from multiple sources, you can kind of triangulate truth from it.
Oh yeah.
If you can get 3 or more sources of gossip, you can kind of figure out what is actually going on.
When rumors are coming from you. So I'm reading
Miss Marple does that all the time. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. I'm reading a Stephen King book, and one of the characters is a journalist, and she says, because it was just perfect because I'm like reading them at the same time. My bedtime stories are usually Stephen
King. I know. Wait, which one is it? Was it the Colorado
Sleeping Beauties?
Oh, okay, cool.
So Sleeping Beauties, I'm almost finished, but it was the journalist in that was like, you don't pay attention to rumors unless they're coming at you from all directions, which is when they start coming at from all directions, there's usually validity to these things. So yeah, I mean, you're an anthropologist. Gossip is like a super important thing to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
But it's a way of making sure that that resources are distributed well, because if someone is not distributing well, gossip and rumor is how you spread all around their area. And this is kind of like, so you see this like Jody or Joe is basically like, people are very concerned about him taking too much power. Right. And, he is savvy, so he pays attention. That's when he does the whole mule stunt.
Exactly.
So, so those are kind of like actually, gossip in a way can be very toxic and divisive, especially like a Mean Girls sort of situation, right? But it can also be a way of protecting community health.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, much like any tool, like societal tool, it can be either used to like check power in a newcomer, or actually, I was going to reference Mean Girls, but that's actually what they're doing in Mean Girls 2. Or Mean Girls as well. You haven't seen Mean Girls?
No, I saw Mean Girls. You mean Mean Girls 2 as in...
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's why I was correcting. No, it's like in Mean Girls as well. When they do the what is it? The 3-way call, not sabotage, ambush.
I saw it in high school.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch it again. You need to watch it every year on October 8th, which is Mean Girls Day. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Because I asked, he asked me what day it was, and I said October 8th. No, but yeah, that's what they're doing. Is they're trying to Regina is trying to check Katie's power by doing a 3-way calling ambush, and that is what they're doing when they're checking, basically like trying to check Jody's power as he's rising, and he does the publicity stunt, and
with the mule.
In Mean Girls they have the whole plan to take Regina down,
I do think it's another thing to think about is too, the problem with gossip is when you get such a large scale society and there's no community accountability anymore to it, it becomes voyeurism. And that's why we get like tabloids.
I think tabloids are like they're like a toxic Avenger kind of outgrowth of gossip.
Right.
They're gossip that is voyeurism instead of serving a
so when you
look at function.
So if you look at the celebrity, so that's why like some people are obsessed with celebrity gossip, is because there are certain people who have an inclination to gossip more to kind of enforce community norms, right? The nosy neighbor.
They're trying to engage in it, but they don't actually have any they can't hold the celebrities accountable.
Right.
So they kind of want the gossip rags to do that. So they read them and buy them and stuff like that. But they're not really holding those celebrities accountable. They're really exploiting their fame for their own financial ends.
Right. Yeah. I got an offer to do some freelance video work for TMZ.
Oh wow.
And I didn't take it because I think it's disgusting.
Sure.
But they pay a lot of money.
They sure do. That's how they get those people to do that.
Yeah. It's like 3 times the amount I would normally get paid for a day rate.
Woo, man.
It was hard to turn that one down.
Yeah.
But damn it, I have principles.
But are you sure? 3 times, man. 3 times.
I know I could have paid rent for 2 months with one gig.
Oh.
But I didn't. So
you're a stronger man than I am.
It was hard, but I just couldn't do it. Any more than I could be an anthropologist for like an oil company. I just couldn't do it. I mean, you can make really good money doing that.
It's the dark side of the force. I have an aunt that succumbed to that.
Yeah.
Lovely person. Oh, but
it's hard because a man's got to eat.
You're right. You're fucking right.
So, they also there's a couple of like some of the gossip things were really interesting to me because they did this whole dialogue of caution versus nature. And I was like, oh, that's totally Zora and Neale Hurston like engaging in the nature versus culture debates that were going on at the particular time.
I love that.
So, I mean, there's um, also women widows tend to be happier than male widows.
Yeah, because women widows are self-sufficient and male widows are like just babies. Like someone who's been taken care of their whole life just being thrown to the wolves, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, we have an actual comment.
What?
I can't read it. Can you read it?
Hold on. Hello, I just randomly came across this on my recommended. What are you guys talking about? I mean, in a book, but I don't know what book.
Oh, we're reading Their Eyes Were Watching God, Zora Neale Hurston. So that we just finished reading that one, and that's what we're discussing.
Yeah, she's a famed anthropologist and staple of the Harlem Renaissance, and her book is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Yep. So we finished the book synopsis probably about 20-30 minutes ago. So now we're just discussing political theory and anthropology and context and those kind of
themes
things.
from the book.
Yeah. So yeah, women widows, they tend to be happier than male widows. Yeah, absolutely. I think also too, men, at least in our culture, tend to be more individualistic outside the house.
Oh, that's a great point. Like men don't. So studies show that men basically don't have friends outside of their wives by the time they're about 50 years old, or maybe it's 40. But women didn't have.
I got one.
Yeah. I do too, and I'm a married man in my 40s with friends. But only because I remember reading that statistic when I was younger and ensuring that I kept my social groups sort of active and healthy as I got older, because I didn't want to rely on my wife for everything.
Yeah.
You know, men do tend to rely on their wives for everything, and it's really kind of sad to see that, you know. My grandpa, when my grandma passed away when I was young, he like immediately went out and like started dating again because he didn't have a social circle, you know. It's really sad. But Kira's grandma, who like lived in this house before we moved in, before she passed away, when she was in her 70s, she still had friends in the neighborhood, you know.
Yeah, and I think for any of you male viewers who struggle with maintaining friendships or doing friendship stuff, a piece of advice I can offer to you is do projects or activities with your friends. Go to the gym together and work out and hold the accountability buddies.
Accountability buddies.
Yes,
well, that's a little tongue twister.
Yeah. So accountability buddies, or like me and Matt do this together, right?
Yeah, I belong to a theater troupe, and we get together all the time to work on plays and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So,
yeah, and also, you know, I have friends from jobs that I've left and stuff like that, and you know, like we have like a weekly movie date with a friend of mine. Hold on, here's another one. Oh, very cool. Oh, you can blow it up. That's great.
Yes, I'm doing that. Yes. Sorry, the screen we have the comments on is tiny.
It's that goddamn toxic masculinity that basically been boiled into every man.
Yeah.
Yup. Women were always allowed to have a community, but men were always looked down upon for it. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because for men in like this Western culture, it's seen as weak to rely on people for things, to rely on community. But what's the point of having community if you don't like? What's the point of living in a society if you don't form communities? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, and it is. It's so lonely and isolating, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you're getting all kinds of the toxic influencers who are also contributing to that, saying, you don't need women and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Hold on. So, they said again, the outside perspective, and I'm like, God, guys, you guys could have been so much happier if that didn't exist. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man.
For sure.
You know, and you don't have, I mean, like,
well, this gets into, like, you can even look at Bell Hook's work. She wrote a book called The Will to Change, I think it was.
Okay.
Which is about how toxic masculinity is bad and patriarchy is bad for men too. That actually the vast majority of men get a raw deal from it. It's only a very tiny fraction of men in power who ultimately benefit from patriarchy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the patriarchy is like, really, it's just propping up. I mean, God, I feel like a Bernie bro saying this, but like, it's really just propping up like you know, the 1% of men who happen to be on top of industry,
Right.
you know, and are extracting wealth and, um, you know, yeah, defending it voraciously.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing as, you know, like John Steinbeck said, the reason that socialism never took root in this country is because everyone believes they're a temporarily embarrassed millionaire.
Oh my
right?
God,
That's just propaganda.
I had one of my first major jobs when I was in college. I was a bellman, and my bell captain was an immigrant from Mexico who believed that. You know, he voted Republican during like the second Bush administration because he believed he was eventually going to be rich.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Another comment here, like my dad works at a Hyundai Kia test track. What? And there are a lot of Koreans there from Korea, and one time 2 Korean guys were just holding hands because that was a normal way to show affection.
Yeah.
But the Western guys thought it was a little weird, and it always came back. Always came back to goddamn capitalism. Yeah, man, absolutely. There are a lot of countries in the world where men can like actually express affection towards each other, and they don't have to be afraid of it being considered like what, like feminine or queer or something like that. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of places in the world where gender is still considered largely a spectrum, and it's not. I mean, that's a whole conversation we could have about how the Industrial Revolution and the rise of the middle class is what has the upper class start putting all kinds of morality rules upon us to essentially divide and conquer the poor workers from the middle class workers. And
well, there's a reason that the Luddites are what in our modern conception considered anti-technology instead of anti-capitalist.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. Because they were anti not starving to death.
Yeah. They were anti like, damn, this machine shouldn't take my fucking job though.
Yeah. Also, the other thing about this book too is it really highlights a lot of the stigma of an older woman dating a younger man.
Oh shit, that's a great point.
Because she marries much older. The first man she marries is like 2 decades older than her. The second one is like 12 to 15 years older. Yeah. And then the third one she marries is 12 years younger, and that's the one everyone's giving her shit for.
Absolutely, and that's the one that she has the most problem with too. And he has to address that hiccup in their relationship like 3 different times.
Right.
You know, he has to reassure her for, I don't know, like the first year of their relationship that he's not trying to exploit her. He's just in it because she's a fucking baddie, and he, you know, that's who he wants to be with.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it'd be hard too because like, you know, I think if you're a beautiful young woman and you marry an older man,
that's just expected.
Is expected, but I think also probably your sense of security is like, well, he's old and he's not that attractive. He's not going to do much better than me, right? But if you're dating a younger man who's attractive and he's playing music and
dude, he's so charismatic.
And there's that scene with what's her name? I didn't put it in here.
Nunky, yes.
Nunky, who like is like tackling him and trying to like get him to like fondle her and all kinds of stuff. Like she's like trying really hard.
And basically, like she chases Nunky all over the fucking field.
Yeah.
And shit like that.
Yeah. She's pissed.
She's real pissed.
Yeah. And then, you know, I think that's the first time she like smacks somebody is like,
right.
You're not with her, are you?
Yeah.
So, and he's not, but,
I wasn't entirely sure, but I think you're right. I mean,
I think
it seemed circumstantial.
There was that scene where she had stolen his tickets or something. What was it?
There was tickets for something. What was that?
But they were like tussling on the ground. They weren't naked or anything, but they were wrestling over something.
Yeah, and then he was able to show that the tickets were like crumpled because they had been stolen.
Right.
Him.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
We'll trust Tea Cake this time.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he does go mad at the end with the rabies, but
yeah, that's not his fault. He literally saved his wife from getting bitten by a rabid dog. Yeah.
Yeah, so in America, men are just pushed down all the way for having friendships because it's not what... Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Capitalism doesn't... They want us to be... I mean, that's the entire campaign of after civil rights. Like, I used to think that the whole CIA introducing crack to black communities was a conspiracy theory.
No, dude.
And then when I actually like looked into it, I was like, holy shit, they did.
They sure did that.
They did because they didn't want another civil rights movement, because they realized if the 70s and 80s had such an as powerful civil rights movement as they did in the 50s and 60s, then capitalism would have fallen apart. So absolutely great comments and thoughts. Thank you for sharing your...
Yeah. And it is like in America, it's like, I do think men are more easily manipulated in like non-commercial ways. Like, I feel like, unfortunately, because of like beauty standards and stuff like that, women do have an incentive to like participate in capitalism, to like, you know, glamorize themselves in ways so that like they get the approval of like men in power and stuff like that. But men aren't incentivized in the same ways. So what capitalism does is it divides us by encouraging individualistic behaviors.
Well, there's looks maxing now.
Now there is.
But and also since the 1990s, because beauty companies realized that they were losing out with men, you start seeing a huge campaign for men. And if you look at Hollywood, at how men are portrayed, but you know, you start with Arnold in the 80s, right? And you're getting bulkier and bulkier, and there's more plastic surgery for men, to the point where by the time the 90s come around, eating disorders with men have skyrocketed.
That's very fair, and I do think that heroin chic was popular on both ends of the spectrum. I definitely wanted to look like Skeet Ulrich when I was a teenager, you know. And he was like a little skinny boy with constantly wet hair, you know, just like Leo DiCaprio, you know, except he was, you know, he was so hot in Scream, and then he ended up, never mind, no spoilers for Scream, but,
oh, it's only like 30 years
yeah,
old
no
now.
spoilers for a 30-year-old movie. Yeah, no, that's a good point. But I do think that our society does encourage individualization amongst men. I don't think that community, like masculinity and community, they're not words that go together, really. No. They're not ideas.
Not how we pair them.
Yeah, they're not ideas that go hand in hand, because that would be gay if things were holding hands, you know?
Well, it's also interesting looking back, because I mean, this is written almost 100 years ago now, right? To think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. Yeah, it's like a 90-year-old book. Absolutely.
So
and you're welcome. Thank you for your comments. We really appreciate them.
Yeah. No, we love comments and interaction. Please come every time.
Absolutely. Read the book.
Read the book. Yeah. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts on this book. Really, like, what a double threat this lady was, to be a groundbreaking anthropologist, and I can't believe I haven't read another one of her books since I read this in high school. I really need to like remedy that. Her writing is so lyrical, and it does verge on poetry a lot of the time, but in a very readable and evocative way. And I think that she had some interesting insights about like femininity and masculinity and like agency within relationships.
Yeah, agency.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think this must have been a really revolutionary text when it was written, which is probably why it wasn't received super well at the time, because what she's really describing in the like the third marriage that the book describes is a partnership.
Yeah.
You know?
Not an ownership.
Not an ownership. Like T-Cake is like, he's willing to go out and do the work, you know? And he wants her to be there too if she wants to be, and like, you know, picking the beans, you know, in the muck. But if she's not feeling well, he's like, stay home, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably because she has money from her previous marriage, you know, so he feels financially like comfortable with that. You know, he knows that they're not like in dire circumstances, but he also knows that he doesn't want to like ride on his wife's money. You know, he doesn't want to burn it all up.
Right.
Despite that fear that I had in that first instance when he did take that $200.
Yeah.
You know, but he came back and made it $350.
He did. So... He did what he said he was gonna do.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a sleaze bag for disappearing without telling her. But he does ultimately hold up his word. So,
absolutely.
So that was good.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we read a lot of books that are about.
We read a lot of books. We have a book-based podcast.
That's right. But we read a lot of books that are about like very clear oppressive societies and resistance. And
this one was a little more ephemeral. I was like trying to find the authoritarianism in it.
But you said it right there. It's the agency, because and this is because our next book is Siddhartha, and Siddhartha doesn't really have that either. But the same thing with Siddhartha, and I've read Siddhartha a couple of times over the years. But it's like it's about that internal resistance to the oppressive cultural forces that she faces. I mean, she's like, she's put into an arranged marriage by her grandmother, and she does stick with it. But what she finds in the aftermath of that is her liberation.
Absolutely.
And like, it's just another reminder that freedom starts from within.
This book is literally about how a black woman in the 1920s finds agency and liberation from the patriarchy in general.
Yeah.
And that's fucking impressive, man. And it is through, like you said earlier, it's like stealing those moments of opportunity, or like seizing them. I'm not stealing, seizing the moments of opportunity.
The door opens for a minute, you got to walk through.
And she does every time.
She does.
When she gets a chance to get out of being a farmer's wife, she fucking takes it. And sure, that lands her in like a shopkeeping position for 20 years. But then after that, she's an independently wealthy, like sexy 40-year-old woman, you know, like, and when she can, I mean, she just turns that into the fucking love of her life and even more money. So like, okay.
Yeah. And that's like, it is like, we have to do the things that are uncomfortable. We have to push ourselves to be better versions of ourselves. And when an opportunity comes, we have to take that risk.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we miss out. And sometimes it's not always clear in the moment that was the right choice. And sometimes we don't make it. But like...
Oh, someone wants to give us a recommendation. I'm sorry. Hey, yeah, what is it?
What's your recommendation for your book?
Oh my God, there's so many comments we missed while we were...
I've been reading them.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't see the most recent one. But anyway, so it's like, if you want to be the best version of yourself, it requires discomfort. I can't remember what podcaster was talking about it the other day, but they were talking about, like, we've gotten into this mode of thinking with all the psychologization. Psychological, you said it. Yeah. of everything, where we're trying to diagnose trauma and all this stuff. And it's like, just because you're uncomfortable does not mean you're taking damage. Like, you're treating it like it's a video game. And it's like,
hey, even like tanks are there to soak up damage, but they're also there to protect the party.
That's right. Yeah. So sometimes, like, being uncomfortable and taking the damage is what's required if you want internal freedom. And really, at the end of the day, we live in all kinds of societies across histories and cultures. The only true liberation you can have is in here. So,
hold on. Okay.
I can't remember the name, but it's a book of a new movie coming out called Other Mommy, and it is written from the child's point of view and is a good horror book. Okay. Yeah, we are actually looking for a horror book, so do us a favor and put this in the if you can figure out what the title of the book is, put in the comments of this episode after it's published, which will be like as soon as we hit the end stream. Yeah. And we will take a look and see if it fits for our show.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate the recommendation.
Yeah, we are definitely looking for a horror book for
a Halloween episode.
Yeah, we did Frankenstein last year, and we want to do another book that it's in conversation with like resisting authoritarianism or tyranny, and I think a mother-child relationship. I mean, that is like a microcosm of that dynamic. So, especially if it's in a horror context.
Instance Around the House, is that the name of the book?
Found it. Instance Around the... Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look that up.
But thank you for your interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I do think at the end of the day, our only freedom is within. I mean, we have to struggle without to maintain societies that give the most people as possible their opportunity to become their best version. But individually, we can only control so much. So,
Incidents Around the House
by Josh
Mallerman.
Mallerman. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you. We'll check it out.
Absolutely.
If it fits for what we'll do, that's what we'll do for Halloween.
Yeah.
Our next episode, we're going to be doing Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, a very famous novel about internal struggle and strife, what the meaning of enlightenment is, and what happens if you're not vigilant in your practice.
Dude, this won the Bram Stoker Award for Superior Achievement in a Novel.
Okay.
It was in 2024 and was a finalist for the 2025 Locust Award for Best Horror Novel.
Okay.
I think I'm probably going to check that out one way or another. Thank you for the recommendation.
Appreciate you, yes.
Yeah.
And also, again, don't forget that we just launched our Patreon page, which includes the new show Resistance Reels. And, as soon as we have some people kind of sign up for that, we'll start our nonfiction book club where we read a couple chapters out of nonfiction works that are dense, so that we can kind of have Zoom meetings and talk through these together.
Yes.
So, but yeah.
I think when we do that, the first one we're going to do is this one right here, Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
By Neil Postman.
Yeah.
Public Discourse in the Age of Show Business.
Yep. A little dated, but still very relevant.
I think it's probably not that dated. Just because he didn't know about social media doesn't mean he wasn't predicting its effects, you guys.
Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time in 3 weeks.
Absolutely. Sláinte mhath, guys.